You clicked on this video because you're either a big fish nerd like me that'll watch a video on anything fish related, or you are a new fish keeper doing research on what is the best fish to buy for your first fish tank. Whatever brought you here, we appreciate it very much. Here are 10 fish that we believe are the best beginner fish.
What can I say about bettas? Well, let's see. For starters, they're absolutely gorgeous. They're one of my favorite fish, and they have such an amazing personality. And you don't need a huge tank to put them in. Don't believe a lot of the things that you hear people say about bettas. They do not do well in cups or vases or small little things you can buy at Petco or wherever. They need a minimum of a 5-gallon tank with a heater, a light, and a filter. They want to be happy just like any other fish out there. So don't make them an ornament. And don't worry, bettas don't have to be alone in a tank all by themselves. There's tons of other fish out there that they can go with. There's a huge community of betta lovers out there that are absolutely wild about their bettas. So trust me, getting a betta is much more than getting a fish. We recommend a 5-gallon minimum for your betta tank. And you want to keep the pH around 7 and temperature 78 to 80. You're going to see cards pop up on the upper right corner of some of these fish. That means we've done 10 Things episodes specifically about those fish. Check them out if you haven't already.
Okay, so I have to admit, this is my favorite fish on the list. I love them all, but angels have been at the top of my list for as long as I've been keeping fish. Angels are cichlids, so you have to keep that in mind when you're selecting tank mates. But the best thing about angels is that they're so unique and so gorgeous, you can just have them in a tank by themselves. You don't even need to worry about tank mates, and you still have a gorgeous aquarium. You'll need a bigger tank for angels than some of the fish that are on this list, but nothing crazy. A 29-gallon will do just fine. Angels are super easy to keep, and they're super easy to breed. Angels are best kept at a pH right around neutral, which is 7. They like their water to be a little bit warmer. 78 to 82 will keep them nice and warm and toasty, and they'll breed like crazy, and you'll just have all kinds of fun.
Guppies. Love the guppies. They're another one that doesn't need a very large tank, but they do need a heater and a filter, just like any other fish. They're super easy to keep, and there's never a dull moment in a guppy tank. They're always so full of life, they move around, and they're just constantly doing fishy things. Guppies can tolerate a lot of different water parameters and can make it through a lot of the little mistakes that new fish keepers make. Plus, they breed like rabbits, so that adds a whole new level to the hobby. You'll want to keep the pH at 7 to 7.8 and the temperature from about 76 to 82.
Tetras are the fish on this list that probably have the most variety. There are tons and tons of different tetras out there of all different colors, shapes, and sizes. Some of the highlights about tetras is that they are a schooling fish, which is very cool. You buy a whole group of them and you watch them swim around together like a little gang. It's a lot of fun. They're egg layers, so breeding them is going to be a little bit trickier than some of the fish on this list, but that's okay because we're not looking for the easiest fish to breed, we're looking for the easiest fish to keep. Some of the bigger tetras can max out at about 2 inches, but a lot of the tetras that you're going to find out there are only going to be an inch or so in length, so you don't need a huge tank for them, but we still do want to do the right thing. Give them 10 to 20 gallons at least. Let's keep the temperature from 74 to 78 with a pH of right around neutral, again, which is 7. Make sure your aquarium has a good filter and heater on it. Keep up with your maintenance, and you can have these fish for up to 10 years.
Platties are another one of those awesome little fish because there's so many varieties of colors and they're super awesome and just really active. Constantly moving around, just moving around. Put a group of these fish together and you'll have an entertaining aquarium for sure. Platties are a lot like guppies. Let me explain why I say that. Well, they're live bears, so if you keep the water conditions just right, you're going to end up with a whole lot of babies, so be prepared for that. This is awesome, but for some people, it might be a little bit more overwhelming and they can't keep up with all the babies. They're not prepared and they end up getting completely overrun. You'll want to keep platties in at least a 10 to 20 gallon tank with the temperature at 72 to 78 and a pH from 7 to 8. The wide range of parameters is what makes these fish great for beginners.
For mollies, you can basically take everything Lisa just said about platties and just duplicate it. It'll work, all the same stuff, except for a couple things. First, they like their water a little bit warmer, 78 to 82. And then there's the whole brackish water thing. A lot of new fish keepers see on the label for mollies brackish water and it scares them. They're like, I don't even know what that's all about. Don't let that be something that scares you. If you're unfamiliar with what brackish water is, it's basically in between freshwater and saltwater. It's pretty much freshwater that's a little salty. But like I said, don't let this scare you because almost all of the mollies that you're gonna find in pet stores are gonna be captive bred fish that weren't bred in brackish water. They were bred in the same freshwater as everybody else. So you don't have to worry about setting up your tank specifically for brackish water. You can if you want, but it's really not necessary. They've never even seen brackish water, so they'll be fine. Again, like platties, mollies are live bearers, which means they're pretty much always reproducing. And because of that, you're gonna wanna have at least a 10 to 20 gallon tank so you have room to expand. They like their pH anywhere from 7 to 8, and again, temperature 78 to 82, you'll be good. These are easy, folks, and they're a lot of fun.
I'm just gonna say it. Corydoras are one of the cutest fish in the hobby. They're tiny little catfish that are just always moving around at the bottom of the tank looking for food. And they're so cute. Yeah, I said it twice. They're cute. With them being so small, they don't need a huge tank. But to be fair, let's still give them a 20 to 29 gallon tank. Like a lot of fish on this list, they can tolerate a wide range of parameters. Try to stick with a pH anywhere from 7 to 8 and a temperature of 72 to 82. But pay attention to the actual cories you're getting because they can be different. Cories are schooling fish, so in order for them to thrive, you really need to do the right thing and get about 3 to 6 of whatever type you decide to get. When I say schooling, I don't mean go get an education.
A lot of new fish keepers don't know this, but gouramis are related to bettas. They have the same labyrinth organ that allows them to breathe air if they need to, but don't let that allow you to cut corners. They still need a good filter on their tank and they need the water moving. There's a few different types of gouramis out there. You've got the dwarf gouramis, which are the best for beginners because they stay pretty small. You've got kissing gouramis, which have a really cool little kissy face, and then the giant gourami. Dwarf gouramis are great because they're smaller, they're brightly colored, they're beautiful fish, they're very easy to keep, and you don't need a huge tank. 10 to 20 gallons, you'll be fine. Kissing gouramis are one that draws in a lot of new fish keepers because they're very unique. They always look like they're trying to go around kissing stuff. But the thing is, with them, you're gonna want a larger tank, about 55 gallons. So we might wanna go ahead and steer clear of those in the very beginning because we're gonna probably set up a smaller tank to get started. I don't know, if you're going with a 55, then you'll be fine. But if you're sticking with a smaller tank, let's stay away from the kissers because they get a little bigger. Giant gouramis, let's just stay away from them. These are monster fish, folks, and a lot of people don't even know that because, of course, when you buy them, they're much smaller, but they can get absolutely massive. I mean, they can get this big. They're giants. That's why they're called giant gouramis. So as beginners, let's stay away from them. Let's just go ahead and stick with the dwarfs because they're smaller and easier. With all of these gouramis, you'll want to keep the temperature anywhere from 75 to 78 and pH 7 to 8. I mean, it's pretty flexible, pretty simple.
Danios are as close to a bulletproof fish that you will be able to find in this hobby. I think as far as any of the fish on this list, Danios are probably the easiest to keep, and they can tolerate pretty much anything. One of the best things about these fish is their energy level. They are constantly moving. They're so active and they're like total spazzes. There's several different varieties of Danios, from the zebra, rosy, dwarf, white cloud, and giant, but with all of them the rules are pretty much the same. They're also a schooling fish, so ideally you want to keep them with about 6 or more, and they do really well with other fish. You'll want to put them in a 20-gallon tank and keep the pH around 6.5 to 7. The other great thing about these fish is they're cooler water fish, so their aquarium, if it's at room temperature, should be just fine.
Mbunas are the fish on this list that's going to have the most people saying, "Hey, wait, John, you can't put Mbunas on a good beginner fish list." Oh, but yes, I can. African cichlids are a fish that bring in a ton of new fish keepers because of their vibrant colors, constant activity. They're all over the place. People just fall in love with them right away. Mbunas are really easy to keep as far as water parameters goes. Really, the only thing that you have to worry about with them is the aggression, and that's a whole nother story. But that's what you have the KG Tropicals YouTube channel for, right? We've done several videos on how to handle African cichlid aggression. We are here for you. You can do it. It can be done. I promise. It's not a big deal. We started tons of new fish keepers out with Mbunas when we had our store, and they were very successful with it, and they had an absolute blast. The only thing is, this is the fish on the list that if you're gonna go with these, you really need to know that you're gonna go all in. You're not just trying this out. You're all in for the long haul, because with Mbunas, you're gonna spend some money. Not only are the fish more expensive, but you're also gonna wanna start off with a much bigger tank, at least 75 gallons, and bigger filtration. You're gonna wanna keep the pH and the temperature a little on the higher side for these fish. For the pH, let's say 7.6 to 8, and temperature 80 to 82. Believe it or not, if you have the money and the patience, Mbunas are a great way to start off in this hobby. So there you go, the 10 fish that in our opinion are the best fish to start off with in this hobby. Do you have fish that you want to add to the list? Put them down below. Maybe we'll do a part 2 to this and do 10 more beginner fish. It's all up to you. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, if you found this video helpful, found it entertaining, why don't you consider subscribing to the channel so that you don't miss next week's episode along with all of the other stuff that we're doing. Thanks again so much for watching, and I look forward to talking to you again next week with 10 more things.